Hobby Evolution, episode 378. Happy football Sunday. Late today, almost 10 a.m. Central Time. In fact, I almost didn't go live this morning. My mom is in town with her friend. So I was laying low on the hobby. Yesterday we went to a local. It's a pretty cool. It's actually it's called Riley Tavern. It's in a really small. It's actually not even a town. It's like a group of 10 houses and this big house, which is actually a tavern, Riley Tavern. And recently, within like a year, they had like a garage, like storage area on the side of this house, which they turned into like an outdoor bar. And they have a big green space, which is like a beer garden, like bluegrass bands play on the weekends. So I wanted my mom is big into like those uh, unique bars, unique country bars, I guess. So three of us went out there. My wife was working, so we had some burgers for lunch, a couple of beers, and enjoyed the bluegrass. And as you can hear in my voice, good morning, Herman. I am still very congested. Of course, beer is like the worst thing when you have head congestion because of the is it the histamines? A lot of histamines in the beer. So, and then of course I layer that with coffee in the morning. So I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to readjust my diet here in the next couple days so I can be healthy for the Rockford Card Show, which is next Saturday. I'm excited. Yesterday morning, I sleeved some more cards. I'm on a rampage to sleeve more quarter cards because I've got to freshen up the bargain boxes. So I'm going to try to have a brand new baseball box, a brand new football box, and a brand new basketball box for next week's show. And then hopefully I can build on that for the Madison Card Show, which is coming up on Saturday, October 23rd, 20 days away from that Sheraton Hotel. Because I want to have all new and I want to advertise all new boxes for October. That way, my customers know that these are fresh. They don't have to dig through all of the other boxes to try to find something new. So just try to help those collectors out. So that's what's going on. So I wasn't going to go live this morning because we're going to have brunch. My mom and her friend stayed at a hotel. They didn't want to stay here. Um, so they are coming later. They wanted to stop at like there's like a local cheese shop where they're staying. So that place doesn't open until 10. So it's pushing back our brunch, which is fine with me. I'll brew some coffee and record this morning. So yeah, I didn't do much in the hobby yesterday outside of sleeving a bunch of cards. I went through and I actually found some good stuff because I have in my unfinished storage area. I've got some like random. I was setting aside a bunch of football for trade for a big bulk trade that didn't come through. So I've been going through some of those boxes and I've found some stuff that I'll actually throw in my eBay store and then just piles and piles of 25-cent cards. And we're talking, see if I'll just grab I don't know if this is a basketball pile. So just some random like 90s stuff like Vin Baker, classic rookie, Jamal Mashburn, Eric Montrose from North Carolina, some 70s basketball, and some of these are kind of dinged up. So just some random Tony Kukoc. Of course, here in southern Wisconsin and in Rockford, the Bulls are big, especially the '90s Jordan Bulls. So Steve Kerr, Tony Kukoc, maybe some interest for Hubert Davis rookies. He's the new North Carolina coach now. Guys like Chris Mullen, John Stockton, Carl Malone, Charles Barkley, Reggie Miller, Chris Mullen, I think I already mentioned him. So just some of the stuff like that thrown in the quarter boxes. Um, so what else? I'm kind of disappointed with sports. The Badgers suck. They got blown out by Michigan yesterday. Graham Mertz got hurt. Apparently, he was taken to the hospital. So hopefully he's recovering. Um, Badgers stink. Their offense sucks like the Bears. Bears and Lions today, and it's only what, week 3 of the season, week 4 maybe, and I'm already like fantasy football over Chicago Bears because I have TJ Hawkinson and DeAndre Swift in my fantasy roster. And I'm doing well in fantasy football this year, which usually I just suck right out of the gates and continue to stink throughout the year. I'm doing okay. So I'm in third place. Um, I'm 2-1, and I have like the second highest points. So doing well. So kind of got to root for Swift and Hawkinson, unfortunately. I mean, obviously, I would like them to run all over the Bears, but then the Bears somehow squeak out a win. But the Bears really stink. Especially their offense. So I'm just gonna have to root for my fantasy. Yeah, Field starts his second start. He really and I can't say that he stunk it up last week in his first start. Um, but the offensive line is the entire Bears offense is just brutal. He was running for his life, so it's really not on like his numbers stunk, but it wasn't on him. It was, it was kind of on everybody involved. The the offensive call, the coaching calls, the play calling, I should say, the offensive line not protecting him. So hopefully they shored up and he doesn't have to run for his life. And then the Cubs and Cardinals are playing, and wah wah. Alec Mills gets the start, last baseball game of the season. Normally, this would be a sad day. Well, I shouldn't even say that because the Cubs have been, pretty good the last going back to 2015. So the last 6 years, for the most part, it's kind of exciting getting ready for the season. And now it's back to like pre 2015 Cubs fandom, where it's just okay. Well, spring training is in 4 months, so get ready for spring. Wait till next year. That's kind of where I'm at with baseball. I haven't been following baseball much at all. I've been into the NFL more, which is surprising, and I was kind of like that with the NBA last year. I was into the NBA more than what I normally, what more than normal for the last 25 years. I hadn't really paid attention to the NBA since the mid 90s. And what's up, Zach? Good morning. And got into the NBA a little bit when it first started. A lot of that was just because of I got more into basketball cards and some of the rookies. I was, hoping for some of the lesser tier rookies to pop out, score 40 or something. So that's why I was paying closer attention to the NBA, and I'll do that again. I'll be following the preseason because I ramped up my speculating on basketball rookies even more over the past few months. I bought some rookie prism slabs. I've dug through bargain boxes for 20 and 25-cent cards. So looking forward to the NBA starting. Glad we have something to be excited about in Georgia. Yep, nothing to be excited about in Chicago. Chicago's the what's funny is about the only thing to be excited about in Chicago, and here I go. I almost said the only thing would be the Chicago Bulls, and I'm forgetting about Zach's White Sox. For me, it's the Bulls, and I'm not really an NBA. I've never really had like I've never been a fan of an NBA franchise, and when I say that, I've rooted for teams, but I wouldn't, in hindsight, say I was ever a fan. Like I rooted for the early Bulls, the first run with Jordan in 90, 91, 92. I was a big, I was rooting for the Bulls. I always wanted them to win, but I was never really a fan. But I was also only 10. When Shaq came along in 92, then I became an Orlando Magic, I want to put it in quotations, fan, but I wasn't really a Magic fan. I was a Shaq fan, and I rooted for the Orlando Magic. And then I followed the NBA very closely from like 92 to 95. And then I got into wrestling and pro wrestling. And so I really didn't follow many sports until the Cubs in 98. And then I was big into baseball. And when I transitioned my fandom from NBA basketball to pro wrestling in like 95, I never rooted for like any teams. And I was like, by that point, I was tired of Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls, and I kind of like it was kind of like all the LeBron James hate. People just hate LeBron James because he's so good. There's really nothing to dislike about LeBron James. Like as a person, he's like, I mean, he's a better person in my opinion than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was a prick. And you can say, well, LeBron flops. Well, Jordan was like one of the biggest floppers of all time. And look at his outside indiscretions. He was a degenerate gambler, cheated on his wife. And I guess we don't know the full stories of LeBron James, but nothing. He's been in the league for what, almost 20 years, and nothing about his character has come out. So I think a lot of the LeBron James hate comes because people are nostalgic about Michael Jordan and all that. And Michael Jordan was a great player, and I think Michael Jordan, as much as I hate to say it because I hate the comparison, but I think Jordan was Jordan. Jordan was an amazing player. Getting off on a tangent. But anyway, I don't even know how I got off on that tangent, but I disliked the Bulls. And then I never really when Ben Gordon, when he was with the Bulls and they made like a playoff run, then I kind of rooted for the Bulls again. When I moved to Wisconsin, I wanted to become a Milwaukee Bucks fan because it's like I've never been a fan of an NBA team. I've rooted for teams, but I've never been a true fan. I want to get the gear. I want to go to games. I want to be a NBA Bucks fan. And that didn't last. And I've tried. Like I tried to get to watch games. Before spending my money, going to games. I try to watch games, and I just can't get into NBA games until the fourth quarter because that's when the games really are, get competitive. I do own a Bucks hoodie though, and I did buy that pre-championship. But I'm not a bandwagon fan, and I'll admit it. I have a coworker who readily admits he's a bandwagon fan, and he jumps on the Brewers and Bucks bandwagon as soon as the playoffs start. And he's like, I won't even watch the first round games. I'll wait till they get to like the Final Four or whatever. And I'm like, I'm going to do that too. I'm going to wait till the Eastern Conference Finals. Then I'll start watching the game. I'll be a total bandwagon Bucks fan. And the conference semifinals came along. It's like missed game 1, missed game 2. It's like, I don't really care. It's like if they get to the NBA Finals, I'll watch. NBA Finals come around. Everybody's talking about the Bucks here, and it's just like I didn't watch a single game. I think I watched maybe a quarter or two of the NBA Finals. So I just couldn't get into the NBA, even after I tried last December. LeBron leaving Cleveland the first time was one of the worst handled PR moves for an athlete minus off-field trouble. I would agree with that. I loved it. I thought it was really unique. But yeah, it did look bad. But the thing was, the money raised for that went to like the Boys and Girls Club of Cleveland or something. So the money went to a good place. It's not like he, made the decision. And his handlers did that. And it does shine poorly on him. Because ultimately he's, it's not like they're forcing him to do this. He has to agree. Well, okay. So yeah, but it was, it was a bad look. But I can still remember where I was at. I was at Buffalo Wild Wings in Macomb, for what was it called? The announcement or something. And, I thought it was great. I liked it. Maybe that's when I started rooting for LeBron James even more because I think he started to garner more and more hate, the Jordan era fans, because they don't want to admit that LeBron James. I think it's mostly Jordan fans or people that grew up Jordan. They're the ones that spout off, well, Jordan was better, where LeBron fans, like, there's no comparison. It's not like, and when I say it, I just do it to rub it into. I've got some friends from high school that are big time Jordan followers and fans, and I always just give them crap about LeBron being the GOAT. He could have then just donated the money. That tarnished his legacy. He also had great super teams to win. I will give him the Cleveland championship against the Warriors. That was, yeah. Um, it's a different, it's a different league now, and it was so much different back in. I mean, really, if you think about it, like look at the second Bulls run. That was a super team. LeBron or Jordan, Pippen, and Dennis Rodman. Those are three of the greatest players of all time. I would compare that to the Miami Heat team of LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. I mean, that was the second Bulls run with those three. Those are three superstars and three of the greatest of all time. I think that gets overlooked a lot with Jordan because he was always the Batman to Scottie Pippen's Robin, but Scottie Pippen was one of the greatest of all time. And maybe he was one of the greatest of all time because he was second fiddle to Michael Jordan. And maybe, and I think we saw shades of it, but he was also getting up in age when he left, when he was no longer with the Bulls. Where'd he go? Portland? I think he went to Portland, maybe spent some time in Houston or LA. I can't remember. I remember him being in Portland. And I think he was on those I think he was on at least the first really bad Bulls team. And so it's like one of those where, like, if he was the man, would he be as good as he was? And now the first Bulls run, that was like a weaker, that was kind of a, that was like I guess a team. You had Jordan and Pippen, and then you had Horace Grant, who, was good. I think he made some all-star teams. And then who else? You had John Paxson, who was just, a lights-out shooter. BJ Armstrong, good point guard. But yeah, not the second run, Pippen and Rodman. I mean, when you add Rodman into the mix, that just takes it to an all-new level. And then you have some great, role players with Steve Kerr, and who else was Ron Harper. Ron Harper was a stud. I mean, not in the conversation with Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, but Ron Harper was a really good player. Yes, looking back, but how was it formed? Rodman was a cancer that no one wanted. They didn't all join together to win their first championship. Yeah, but that's kind of, I get that, but it's, it's still like when it's all said and done, they were still a team. And the optics, like, let's be super friends. The optics are a little different, but I just think that's the generational divide. This is a new generation of players, and things aren't the way they used to be. And I think our elder generation, our parents' generation, would probably look at how our parents looked at Dennis Rodman. And I think everybody at that time, now it's like Dennis Rodman is probably weak sauce compared to some of the players in the NBA today. But he was a pioneer in the eclectic back in the mid 90s. So I think it's a lot of generational divide. Jordan and Pippen were core like Magic, Worthy, Bird, and McHale, Malone, Stockton. I agree with that. It's the optics. Since they were together and they didn't like collude to bring together a super team, they kind of built their own super team. I guess it's the same. I guess, in agree or disagree, now that we're talking this out, I kind of see this as a Yankee, like let's compare it to baseball, and let's compare it to our Cubs and White Sox, where the Cubs World Series in 2016 and the current White Sox were built much like the Jordan, Pippen Bulls, the Magic, Worthy Lakers, because they were like traditionally built through the draft, through free agency, international free agent signing, trades, where it wasn't like a complete, like, we're going to buy, like the Yankees, where we're just going to buy all these free agents. And the Yankees actually have developed more traditional, I'm going to say traditionally, I don't know if that's the right term, but more traditionally than what they have been known for in the past. And really, if you look now that I'm talking this out, I'm starting to devil's advocate myself, because a lot of those and I say early Yankees, 20 years ago Yankees, 90s Yankees, those were built like Jeter was homegrown, Mariano Rivera was homegrown. They did buy a lot of talent, but now I'm getting off on a tangent. But yeah, I kind of see like the difference between the 90s, the 80s and 90s teams where it was Malone, Stockton, Jordan, Pippen, Magic, and Worthy is kind of like homegrown built Cubs, White Sox compared to the Dodgers. The Dodgers is a perfect example. The Dodgers are going out and they're buying all the high priced free agents. They're like the new when we always talked about the old Yankees buying up all the teams or all the talent. The Dodgers. So it's like the homegrown White Sox and the homegrown to a point. They're acquiring through draft, international free agency, and trades, where the Dodgers are just picking off the highest priced free agents, the best talent. Rodman made them a trio of Hall of Famers, not a super team. That is what the NBA was becoming. Thankfully, the Bucks sort of bumped that. Yankees buy players at their peak. Sox and Cubs had to take chances and grow potential into championships. Jeter Yankees were homegrown. Look at how people used to look at tattoos and body piercings, and now everyone has them. Speaking of Rodman, yeah, it's like back in the 90s, I remember when I started getting into the NBA big time as a fan in the early in like 92, Dennis Rodman had white hair. And it was like when he played for the Spurs. And it was like, whoa, look at this guy with white hair. And then it was like rainbow colored. And then it was this color. And it was just hair. And yeah, he had some tattoos, but a lot of other guys had tattoos. But then all of a sudden it was like tattoos everywhere. And now he's showing up to publicity stunts, wearing a wedding dress and all that. Now it's just kind of like, that's tame. Like 1997 Dennis Rodman, 98 Dennis Rodman is tame to what we see in 2021. So great conversation. Good stuff. Thanks, Zach. Thanks, Herman. That's what I have for today. My mom just texted me. They are on their way, so we're going to go have some brunch. I will probably go live if my Bowman Chrome boxes may or may not be delivered today. They're now in the hands, hopefully, of the Postal Service, and who knows when that's going to be. So, and I saw somebody tweet about this yesterday that they wish that there was tracking after FedEx gave it to the Postal Service, because like I can track through FedEx, and it like Friday FedEx gave it to the Postal Service, and it says estimated delivery Sunday today. But now there's like no update. Like, I don't know if it's still at the Madison facility or if they've transferred it to my local post office. So hopefully I have 3 boxes that are scheduled to be delivered today. Hopefully they do arrive. If they do, I will break at least one of them live here on my YouTube channel at some point this afternoon or tonight, and if they do come. So I'm not going to break all of them live, but I will probably do the first one just to show the 2021 Bowman Chrome. So hopefully they do come, because I'm itching. I'm really wanting to open these up. So thanks again for the chat. Good conversation on 90s basketball and LeBron James. I love it. Have a great Sunday, and hopefully I'll be live again later today to open some Bowman Chrome. Have a great day. Go Bears.